got Richards, then Bright, then Stephen Ellery. That'll be Neil Crompton. Problems from Paul Morris.
Look at the smoke pouring from that car. I wonder if that's another power steering failure. Pouring from under the bonnet there, behind the wheel. We'll find out when they get into pit lane, but we've had a number of technical failures here with cars throughout the weekend. And that looks pretty ominous for Paul Morris. Smoke pouring from the back of the Cyril May Wines car, and he's coming into pit lane early before the pit lane has opened for the oil flags are out.
Oh, Brad Jones.
Oh.
And again, big cruncher.
And look who it is, Greg Murphy again.
And Todd Kelly off the side there too. One of the Shell Helix Fords was in there. I think it was Paul Radisich. But the front of Brad Jones' Aussie Mail Ford Falcon is an absolute mess. There's Kelly. He's got troubles to the front right.
So Murphy and Kelly both caught up in that. And look at the damage to the Aussie Mail Falcon. Wow. Todd Kelly, a hapless victim in that. Greg Murphy was caught up as well. Murph got going. But Todd Kelly, look at the battle damage on car 15.
They can't take a trick, the Kmart Racing team, nor the Aussie Mail Racing team either. They've been jinxed for this round. Let's see what happens here. So Brad Jones gets spun around. Car number 24 is Paul Romano behind him. Wilson gets past. Wakefield got through. By now there's a bit of damage and crunch. That was Radisich.
So Murphy was on the inside. Kelly was on the outside. They both came to grief. Let's have a look at this again on the Nintendo replay. Now what happens here to Murphy? Todd Kelly drills the side of the car, but Murph's all sideways. There he is, taking avoiding action. Todd Kelly not so lucky. So Murphy once again caught up in the dramas. Todd Kelly, though, serious damage to car 15.
Take a look at the damage to car 21 as well, Mark. I mean, he's got left panel damage all down that side, front and back, and the front of the car is a big mess. These guys are probably the hardest workers of the day, the safety card board and flag guys, as we take a look in at car number 65. So Wilson must have got into some trouble there. Now, was that Stephen Johnson? It wasn't Radisich. It was Johnson, the end of Kelly's day. He'll want to get out of Oran Park in a hurry. He's had enough of it. So too is Max Wilson.
Going so far. Whoops!
Oh, Glenn Seaton.
Well, we didn't see what started that, but there's obviously been a collision mid-pack, and Seaton does the miraculous recovery, gets back full 360, and rejoins the battle a few positions further back. So great recovery from Seaton. Not quite sure what set that off, though.
Paul Radisich is coming in any time now, but his teammate Stephen Johnson is out of this one. You sound like you're an innocent party and all that.
Yeah, mate, we've had a pretty dreadful weekend, but for a start, I stalled on the grid, got it going, and got back up quite a few places, and then Brad Jones got turned around, and unfortunately couldn't miss him.
Put it behind you, mate. Bring on Winton and bring on Queensland 500, eh?
Oh, mate, I'm getting stronger by the weekend.
The weekend, though, is over for Stevie Johnson. Bring on Queensland, all right. Remember, they're the defending champions at the Queensland 500. It has been such a lean year. This is what happened to Glenn Seaton. Rick Kelly's behind him. That's coming over the top of the bridge, the Yokohama Bridge, and Seaton just does the big 360, gets his head straight. They're managed to stay out. Now, while all that was unfolding in the very first lap, keep your eyes on Jason Bargwanna. So this was around the same time that Bradley Jones got crunched to smithereens. Jason Bargwanna was also a victim. He was side by side with Cameron McLean. There he goes, shooting off. Not for the first time this season, but this time Bargwanna stays on all four.
The pressure on them, I guess.
Oh,
there we go.
That's Murph. Well, I was saying he was making great progress, but it's all come to nothing. He's stuck in the gravel trap. Is he driving his way out or not? Oh, he's managed to get out.
Getting out of it.
Well,
I think he was looking for an exit gate out of Oran Park. Straight onto the M5 and out of there to the airport.
It's had a rotten day, isn't it?
He's just run a bit wide there. He must have been trying to go around the outside of Paul, and it just wasn't right.
Let's have a look at the replay. This is on board. And
Whoa!
Well, he was very lucky to get out of there. There's a massive amount of gravel trap there.
I'd say Paul's a lucky one. Have a look at this. How close, if he hadn't have taken that action, he would have nailed that shell car probably. And he slid across the gravel trap and got onto the grass.
Just got out of it.
Very, very lucky man. Moment, or he's just gone, okay, sliding. Look at the thing sliding
Whoa,
around.
no.
Yeah.
That's gone deep in the dust.
Yeah.
He can get himself out. I think he's going to drive out of there. I don't think it's too deep.
Wow, I couldn't.
I don't know if he can at the moment. He's back on.
Out. Wow.
It just goes to show how much he's struggled with the rear tyre grip out there.
Yeah, now the tricky part for him is he's going to, he was dropping off the back of Scaife, and he's got Stephen Richards all over him now, so he needs to calm down. He needs to take a couple of deep breaths he needs to just reacquaint himself, because he's just lost all his confidence, and he needs to try and not block him, but just get his momentum back and keep on keeping on, because in a minute he's going to dump another couple of spots. And of course Stephen is going to make him feel as uncomfortable as he possibly can, but that actually played into Marcus's hands.
And that's what you were saying before. The focus now for Stephen Richards goes from not who's behind him, but who's in front of him. He's got Marcus Ambrose in his sights now, so he can start hunting him down. The PlayStation 2 race score, those little yellow chips on the side there tell you who's moved up and down. There's some good news for you. Brad John Bowers moved up 18 positions. He's up to 13th at the moment.
Fantastic job.
That incident there with Ambrose, oh, look how sideways he's getting.
No rear tyres on that car. He needs to drive it straight if he's going to get it to the end of the race.
Bright's got a bit of an opposite lot coming off the bridge too, so...
These two cars behind him have a similar problem, but he needs to screw a little bit of front brake onto that car. He needs to get the rear bar as much out of that as he can, so the car can put the power down, drive at the corner.
This is the moment for Marcus Ambrose.
You see it have a little head shake first, and have a look at it. It's gone. And he is so lucky to be able to drive out of there.
Oh. Well, he had it in first gear and the foot again.
Well, now is the time.
Oops.
Oh, Jason Bargwanna coming off the bridge. Jason Bargwanna in big trouble.
Was back in 28th spot. That'll put him right down the order. He's had a rotten day, hasn't he?
As opposed to being in 28th.
Just those Ford fans, this year it's a fly the flag competition. So now is the time to start making your flag and start flying them on the mountain in race one. You're playing hardball. Yeah. Russell's playing hardball again.
Whoa.
Oh.
And
Wakefield.
he will not be happy about that. Well, we just saw Wayne disappear into the boonies. There he is. Thanks for coming.
Well, he's been caught up in a bit of fisticuffs throughout the day. Wakefield trying to get some miles up in the car.
And it's a very difficult thing. This is a tough grid of people here.
Let's have a look at that incident again.
Wayne's committed to go down there. Russell's just, never going to get down there. But he is a lap ahead of Wayne, and Wayne should really have rolled out of the throttle before they got to that point.
And that's why everybody gets through. Bright leads him up the hill onto turn 3. Oh, Faulkner, big time. John Faulkner, big time into the wall.
Fortunately, there's some tyres down there against the concrete, so he didn't take the full brunt of that impact, concrete to metal, but it was still a very hard hit. Look at the damage on the Dynapack Commodore. You may well have a safety car straight away.
And a big spin involving Mark Larkham. I think Paul Morris is involved in that one.
Glenn Seaton.
And Glenn Seaton there, Cameron McLean as well. They're going cross-country to get back onto the track. You think if they get through turn 1 and turn 2, everything's okay, but it didn't turn out that way. There's Cameron McLean. The VIP Pet Foods car rejoining the race. Also understand that Craig Lowndes has gone off as well. Out the front, Jason Bright and Marcus Ambrose. The safety car will come out and we'll go back to single file.
They've got to get the safety car out there and slow this field down. There's a few wrecks sitting around there. Oh, Craig Lowndes, look, he's cut a tyre.
Yep.
He went off
left
as a result of that incident on turn 3, I think it was. Faulkner went off. Turn 2, and here's Lowndes.
See if you can try and get back to the pit lane if you can.
Yeah, problems for Glenn Seaton also too. He's complaining that he's possibly broken something in the back end. He said maybe it's the Watt linkage. He will be coming in right now.
Lowndes is doing everything he can to try and save that wheel and tyre, running it along the grass.
He's on the opposite side of the track too, Mark. He's up around the Repco corner part, so he's got a long way to go. Okay, we're on board with Craig Lowndes. We'll see what happens to him. This is the result of an incident with Glenn Seaton. You can see the trouble that would have come from the front left, and Team Kiwi of Jason Richards got caught up in that mess as well. And by now, Craig Lowndes is thinking, what do I have to do to get a result at Winton? Watch John Faulkner on the right-hand side of your screen. Absolutely T-bones the wall. Oh, that's got to hurt.
Yeah, that was a big hit. He'd be grateful the tyres are down there. Nintendo replay tells the story. Here's Craig Lowndes trying to limp back to pit lane. This is what always happens when you get caught up in that no man's land. Round about 20, 30 in the field. Everyone's got their elbows out. Everyone's pushing and shoving. There's plenty of desperation. And so often we see an accident erupt from that part of the grid. Here comes Glenn Seaton. Lowndes is in already. He's made it back. And there's going to be some free-break work here.
Look at all the junk that's come out of the front of the green-eyed monster. Race tape goes on. New front left goes on. Craig Lowndes needs to drive out of pit lane with a whole bucket of luck under his bag to come away with something decent from this round. He rejoins the field and they're trying to piece together Glenn Seaton's car.
Guys, the good news about all that with the safety car being out is that Lowndes will rejoin at the tail of that group. He hasn't gone down a lap in the process. And it was mainly bodywork damage by the look of things during that stop.
Yeah, similar story down here for Glenn Seaton. No real problems looking around the Watts linkage. It looked like a tyre had just been removed from the rim there. They did need the slide hammer to pull some bodywork also off the tyre. So other than that, it looks like she's all go for Cedo.
Mason Bright rejoins. Oh, Lowndes in more trouble. Looks like that front
Something
wheel
in the front steering. It's broken something in the front steering.
is about to part company. Look at the way it's bobbing around under that guard. This is a shocking race meeting for Craig Lowndes. He must be wondering what he's done to deserve this. Been battling around the back of the field after getting turned around at turn 1 in race 1. He's going to stop it.
Straight away, he told the team something in the front steering
Felt quite good, but
has busted.
broken a ball joint or something in the front end.
There you go. And he parks it not too far from the big gum tree. Around turn 8. At the end of the day for Craig Lowndes, his best finish here at Winton is 6th. On your home of motorsport, we're at Winton Motor Raceway, and this is Wayne Wakefield missing turn 3 and ending up trapped in the gravel.
Front's got to make a mistake for them to have a go.
Paul Radicic
Well,
in a
he
cloud
was
of dust.
one of the star performers of race 1. Fought his way up 15 places.
Or something's broken on the upright, hasn't it?
So he looks like he's got broken suspension as well. Something broken in the upright is Paul's analysis. But he's stuck there and looks like the safety car is going to come out again. Third safety car in race 2. This one's full of drama. Let's have a look at the replay. What happens here? Looks like he turns in. Well, doesn't want to turn in. He just goes straight off on the approach to Penrite corner. He's told the crew he thinks he's got a suspension failure of some sort, a suspension upright.
He was in 15th position when that happened, and now he'll drop all the way back. So the dramas and worries continue for the Shell Helix Racing team. Dick Johnson said it was just about time to start praying in race 1. I reckon he's doing it by now. Jason Bright is your leader. Todd Kelly is second. Greg Murphy is third. So you've got Holden Racing Team, and then the 2 Kmart cars. The best of the Fords is Marcus Ambrose.
Monroe safety car leads the field around for the 3rd time in race 2. 21 laps completed of 32. It's been an eventful one.
And then thought, well, hang on a second, this is only lap 2. This is David Bernard at turn 2, the start of this race. Look how wide he got. Marcus Ambrose just couldn't give him any room. Doesn't matter that they're out of the same garage. Bernard caught too wide. He was always going to end up in the dirt and did so, but
Can't protect the motor.
Dougal McDougall
on
number
overrun.
22.
And Dougal McDougall, the first casualty. The Pepsi Commodore sitting out there. There's a big trail of dust.
Well, will that bring a safety car out? Because that's right at the bottom of turn 3, so it's right in the zone. Can he get it out there? It looks as though it's stopped for good.
Whoop.
McDougall just goes in, too late, locks her up, and into the gravel pit. Now, he's tried to blast it out of there. Can you imagine how much stones and rocks are now flying everywhere? We had some problems with those in qualifying. A few broken windscreens. Might talk about that a little later as we see exactly what they decide to do with Dougal McDougall's car. Maybe he's just waiting for these guys to go past.
A King car, Christian de Gostin bringing it in, and that is the other car involved.
Oh, there's a fire underneath there at Cameron McConville's car, and he's on the side of the track as well. Now, they pulled that car out of turn 3, exactly the same spot as our last incident, and they've got it out of the gravel, but there's also problems for Jason Richards at the Team Kiwi car. He's just lost this front wheel down the back half of the track as well. So John McIntyre is behind the wheel, we believe. No, it's actually Jason Richards, but that's the Team Kiwi entry. And the Donut King car with Christian de Gostin is back in pit lane again. Have to find out why. John Clellan goes back out in the Aussie Mail 888 car. Drama left, right and centre. Here's Faulkner's car. He had a lot of damage to the front left. And I'd say that his race is over. Rusty?
Some damage to the GJ Gardner Holmes entry, unfortunately. And John, you're not too happy. Tell us what's happened.
Oh, look, I'm all right. I'm just disappointed in myself. I was having a great race with all the guys. I caught the lead bunch, and We were just swapping positions and seeing who was getting the best run out of turn 2, and Larko got a pretty dud run, and he was making a move on a lap car, and then just as I went to dive down the inside of Larko, he braked, and I had to clear his rear quarter panel, and by doing that I just left my braking too late, and the innocent party was Cameron Conville. I'm really sorry for him, but it just locked the rears and just a passenger from there. But look, it wasn't our plan. Our absolute plan was to finish this thing, and you know, it's just a disappointing thing for Ricky Bates.
The boys are into it now. They're going to try and get this thing out there, obviously with the bid to try and get Rick some miles, obviously.
Yeah, look, we'll just put Rick in the car if we can and get him some miles for their sponsors. And you know, GJ Gardner and Dynapack have been great for us, and as it's getting near the end of the year, I sort of arm a podium again.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.
Fluffy, the news is on Cam's car is that the rear diff doesn't look so flash and it's also on fire. It was on fire.
Apart from that, is it all right?
yeah, right to get in. But unfortunately, just not the race you would want to have.
Yeah, no, look, I haven't even seen what happened on the replay, but I heard it pretty colourfully over the intercom from Cameron. It sounded like someone just got in the way, and unfortunately, that's racing.
This was your real opportunity to make the step up from so many other categories to finally lock in some good laps here in the endurance races, and it looks like it won't happen today.
Yeah, unfortunately, it won't happen today, but obviously I'll be there at Bathurst, so bring on Bathurst. So never mind.
Chin up.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, Warren Luff, son of Ian Luff. Now he runs a very successful advanced driving instruction business out of Sydney. And this is the incident when Cameron McConville retired from the race, and that pretty much says it all. Warren was talking about the colourful language over the radio sets, but Cam's front.
Take another look at the action here. McConville, very disappointing finish.
Wow. He was just a victim there. As Faulkner properly pointed out in that incident, he said McConville was a victim in that, and it's put them out of the race. Hence the frustration. You can see him kicking his gloves there. We have high hopes of a good result here.
The thing about when you turn up to the Enduros is that you notice that all of a sudden everything's changed, everything's doubled up. There's two drivers, there's so much more intensity as Cam McConville gets a bit up close and pit. Another VIP Pet Foods car. I think that might be 40 of Cameron McLean. Yep.
So it always happens. Just about guaranteed.
The stories and reaction as John Cleland goes off, but manages to get back another VIP Pet Foods car. 40 again, Cameron McLean. He's having big troubles. Two speared off, and Cleland gets it back online. Is back out in the front. Business as usual for Marcus Ambrose behind Mark Scaife, and I guess Ross Stone. I think you can hear me, mate. I guess business as usual is a good way to be after 42 laps. It's Matty Whitehead.
Well, we'd like business to be a little bit better with us being in front, but anyway, we're hanging in there. The guys are going along. Everything's running to plan. So far, so good.
You'd have to be happy at the moment, Ross. It's Mark Osler speaking. You'd have to be happy with the pace of your cars so far, because I know we've gone through a few safety car periods, but they seem to be matching Scaife on lap speed.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. We're just making sure we keep it nice and tidy. Everything's ticking over good. Temperatures, everything's all under control. So, as I said before, so far, so good.
I guess the critical thing here, Ross, this race is going to be won and lost in pit lane.
Yeah, I reckon it will. But also, it'll be on calls, you know, when pace cars are out. Once we get past a fuel window, we've got computer programs over there with options on when we can and can't stop, and we've got a little bit longer to go, and then it opens the windows up and gives you opportunities.
Well, I can tell you there's an awful lot of Ford fans around the country waiting for you to crack this one.
There's a few in our team too, let me tell you.
Best of luck, Roscoe.
Okay, thank you.
Ross Stone there, part of the Stone Brothers, of course, racing organisation, as Marcus zips by.
He and Aman Buller were hoping for a lot more out of this holiday in Australia. He may rejoin the race. There's a lot of front right damage there. Greg Rust will have more for us down in the pits, and it was in fact Craig Baird who was involved in that coming together.
Well, Billy Prio has just left pit lane, but Craig Baird, talk us through what happened from your side of the equation.
Oh no, mate, my car had lost a couple of cylinders, and we're just trying to limp back to the pits, but some idiot decided to have a crash instead, but we dropped the cylinder, so not looking good anyway, mate.
Rotten luck, mate. It was a great qualifying and shootout for you.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Well,
big side swipe, looked like a turn 4, Andy Prio.
Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay of that instant. Yeah, it looked like Baird was slowing with that engine problem, and Prio has not anticipated it. He's drilled the back of the Team Brock Commodore. That's damaged the front right corner of the Kmart machine. Hopefully it's not a terminal problem for the Kmart car. The Team Brock, though, there is terminal engine problems, and unfortunately they've had to park it. Fade So we could have a pit stop soon from them. Here's the Nintendo replay, the VIP Pet Foods Commodore. Tony Quinn.
I believe has lost both front wheels somewhere. Yeah, both front wheels are missing. How in Earth's name did he get it back into pit lane with only 2 wheels? Tony Longhurst team with Matthew White for this one. Longhurst jumps out.
Well, the dramas mainly appear to be centred on the front left, Matty. At the same time, the Briggs Motorsport team are dealing with a pit stop for the Cat crew. So Steve Owen in. He's swapping over.
Sorry, Rusty, we're just taking a look at the replay. The wheel nut went flying off and the rest followed. Look at this.
Tell you what happened though, Matthew, even worse. That looks like that rim has been cut in half.
Well, we'll try and ask Tony Longhurst, guys. He's down here. He's working with the crew. Tony, what happened?
Something broke on the left front.
On the hips, and dust flies. The Donut King entry of Daryl Beattie and Christian DeGostin.
Let's get back to pit lane there.
Back in pit lane, I tell you, this is it. This is crucial, absolutely crucial. It's dead. It's had enough. These guys are all the way up the end, and he's only halfway.
Trundling down pit lane, you can see Jason Bright shaking his head. We're just trying to work out the scenarios of driver distances between Scaife and Jason Bright, but it looks like it's all immaterial now.
Well, Mark, when we grabbed it, you could see some stuff pouring out the rear of the car, and now take a look at it. Like you said, just trundling along virtually neutral. Rusty, what's going on?
Well, guys, it is just absolutely nothing. It's the weirdest sound when a V8 trundles into pit lane there, and there's no engine note. It sounds as though it's a terminal engine problem of some kind. This is unbelievable for car one, and something you very, very rarely see.
We certainly heard that confirmed on the radio set. I think the word was it's lunched itself. So how long has it been since we saw a technical failure in a Holden Racing Team Commodore? It seems like an eternity. Now engine failure for car one.
You know what that does? That stops the Holden Racing Team streak. They've won every round of this championship, the first 8. Scaife has won 6, this man Bright has won 2, and now...
Keep in mind there's another Holden Racing Team Commodore out there.
Mazzira and Richards are still out there. You never know.
It definitely stops their streak anyway.
Well, look at that. What a shot.
Oh, dear.
Well, Matty, you are right. There is now going to be a third winner in the series.
Let's have a look at that incident again. This is when Wheel got back in front, obviously. Look at the smoke pouring from. That's a major engine failure. Big problems there.
Jason, it sounds like a big one.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It was all running perfectly. I think we had the car here to win today, and yeah, just lost the power steering through turn 3, and by the time we got through 4 and 5, the engine let go.
So indications of it might have flicked a belt or something like that?
Sorry, mate?
Indications that it might have flicked a belt or something like that?
I really don't know, mate. I mean, while there, I wouldn't have a clue what it was.
How hard were you pushing at the time?
Oh, you know, the car was able to take an absolute pounding. You know, we were going as hard as we could.
Sounds like an obscure one. Thanks, mate. Hard luck. Just how long it's going to last, we don't know.
Jamie Whincup in 35 has lost it at turn 1. Max Dumsney co-driving there this weekend. So he's taken over the seat. Whincup back in pit lane. That's the first off we've seen at this turn. Looks as though he may be caught in there.
Bring out a safety car. Let's have a look at it on the replay. Oh, he came into shot well out of shape. Backed it in. Just couldn't steer it around on the grass, and now that car is well and truly bonked in the sand trap.
If there's a car off in turn 1, just beware, it is greasy there, mate.
Well, no sign of the safety car yet, so...
Oh, look at this. They can continue to cut pretty fast laps. We're just watching the lap times. They're starting to puff out about 2 seconds. 1 minute 14-second laps for this man, Paul Wheel. And these cars can continue to run fairly competitive laps on a slick tyre, and only when you start to see puddles on the track.
Stephen
Richards.
Effectively second position, and that's a big off way down at the end of turn 1. Keep going, get it out of the sand, and you'll make it back.
He did the sprint car fraternity crowd there. What an incredible optimum operating temperature.
Oh, no, 17. That's Johnson, Stephen Johnson.
He's gone right through the gravel trap and all the way out again, turn 3.
And the VIP Pet Foods car saw that turn again.
There was a little collision.
I think it's Stokel behind the wheel. It is of 75. So Wheel is caught up in some back markers, some heavy traffic at the restart, throwing water to the mix, and you've got chaos all around you.
Now the Stone Brothers team are planning on going through with just 2 stops. Just doing our sums up here. he's going to have to drive at least to lap 114, which will make sure that Ambrose won't exceed his time behind the wheel when he jumps back in. Look at this replay of the on and off the brakes. Stephen Johnson trying everything he could to try and regain steering control, but he went right off through the gravel trap and just managed to keep it off the tyres. Now look at this incident again from another angle.
Shooting through the straight line, and turn 3's been the one that's caught them out. You come in there too heavy and you're in all sorts of trouble because it really is a hard right-hander. Watch this, he should be going where the Super Cheap car's going, not towards the tyre wall over there. And take a look at the gravel flying off the front of the car. The best news for Stephen Johnson is that he found the grass and then, as a result, can find the track off that. You get too deep in the sand and stones and you're in there for good. So the defending champs, yep.
Turn 3 is catching a lot of them out.
Steve Owen and Dale Breed in the Cat Ford.
You step off that sort of...
Look how slow they're coming around this turn at the moment. Look how much they've backed off to when we started this thing. They were throwing him around there sideways. Now Paul Wheel gets a little bit of a tail spin as well. Turn 6 now, that's Craig Lowndes, 360, perfect pirouette. Can he get it back on? Yep. Lost about 6 or 7 places in that mess, so it's a slippery one. Oh, look at the Valvoline car of Tander and Bargwanna. Shot in front of Craig Lowndes. No doubt upset his rhythm, then he too was gone. Woo. And car number 600 almost had it off before at turn 3 and did so the second time around. Dale Breed, Markham's car. And there is the better electrical car of Dean Canto. He's over at the wall, and the car is stuck in the trap. The yellow flag and safety car, the Monroe safety car, comes out, and that bunches up the field. That's exactly what Russell Ingall was talking about. That's what they wanted. Well, his dreams have come true as Dean Canto's V8 race for the season, first one, comes to an end.
Still to do it. Let's have a look at this Nintendo replay. Incident down at turn 3. That's why the bumper came loose on the Toll IPEC Falcon. Kiss with another car. Caterpillar Ford, that was enough to dislodge it.
Stayed like that for a few laps too. And Rodney Forbes rejoining the main straight the wrong way around turn 6 with the big puff of dust behind him as he got it wrong now. Cameron McLean, Tony Scott in car number 40. Another one in the dirt at turn 4.
Car spearing off everywhere here. Nintendo replay, car 65, the Longhurst white, better electrical Ford. Another one of the many cars to get caught out to turn 3.
Matthew White behind the wheel there, and the 66 has already gone. They did a number swap, the 2 cars, and this is Thomas Mazera, is it? Yeah, car number 2.
Jim Richards back in the car now. Just ran wide there on the exit to turn 3.
And this
there it is.
That was Steve Owen.
And if this is a safety car, this will be on for Young.
No.
Now, it depends whether he can drive out of here. He hasn't. Doesn't look like he's bogged it too deep, but when he gets the thing into gear and gets on the throttle, he may well bury it. There he is, right off the end of turn 1. He's gone a mile off into the Sahara there. This could be a safety car.
What do they do here with 7 laps remaining?
I would say it's got to be a safety car.
Yeah, the safety car's on its way, and you've got yourself a shootout to the end between Murphy and Bernard. That's just what Murphy wouldn't have wanted, knowing that Bernard has been chipping away at the times. We're set for an incredible finish.
Tony Cochran standing over the box here.
He's happy.
I think he's put the buckers on your car, and now he's pulled the rug under Murph as well.
Oh, look, if you go back to the start of the broadcast when we talked about those figures, and really, no, we talked about the start of the broadcast about those Ford figures and the years that have gone by and the numbers that have stacked up against them. They needed a break sooner or later, and maybe this is the one that they needed.
Have a listen to this.
On the exit of turn 1, they less than 4 laps.
This won't be nice chat. This will not be nice chat.
Tell the kids to leave the room.
You talk about brakes. Bear in mind the comments made about the brake pad change earlier on, and perhaps Bernard with fresher brakes would be a a better opportunity to get past Murph. It hasn't been too easy to get past people around this circuit today.
Let's have a look at this replay of the incident. And he came into the shot backwards. And we just see on race control that Murph's low fuel light is on. We'll just confirm that for you, but if that's the case...
Trouble at the back.
Everyone trying to squeeze through that first, second and third corner shuffle. Mark Scaife, though, leads him out the back.
Oh, no, Paul Radisich, one of the Kiwis, has gone, and he didn't even make the first turn.
Well, you can see plenty of dust and dirt and drama going on further back in the pack.
Gee, I hope he's all right, because he has hit a part of the wall there where there is no tyre barriers. He's gone slamming in, and his teammate, Stephen Johnson, they were side by side on the grid. Cars 17 and 18 started from 19 and 20. Look at him talking to the rat, making sure that he's okay. Dick Johnson can't believe it again.
Team boss Dean Orr there too. Let's have a listen.
Oh, wow. They're just making sure that Radisich is okay here, and just checking out the feeling throughout his right hand.
Safety car is on the circuit. The Monroe safety car comes out to calm this field down. Leads them around while they get this carnage sorted out. But if the Shell team is having a bad year, it's gone to a shocker now. Both cars out at turn one.
That was at the 7th last row of the grid. They started, as I mentioned, next to each other in positions 19 and 20. Now, Radisich has ended up on the left-hand side of the track, and Johnson has ended up with a mess to the front of his car as well. So there's the damage. That's on his left. Somehow they've come together, and one of them's come off a lot worse than the other. Paul Radisich is about to climb out of the car.
That is the worst possible scenario. I remember many years back seeing the two Coca-Cola Commodores of Wayne Gardner racing. Crompton and Gardner going out at turn one, both flying off into the fence. Now, we've seen it again. Terrible moment for the Shell team. Looks like the drivers are okay. Safety car is on the circuit, but the two Shell Fords, well, maybe they can fix up Johnson's car, but Radisich is out.
I tell you, the amount of times that we've seen that damage to that car number 17, about 3 or 4 rounds he's copped the trouble. Now, this is the replay of the start. So basically, Mark Scaife got off to a good one. In fact, the first 4 all were pretty clean throughout there. Now, here they come. That was the 2 Shell Helix cars shooting out of screen.
And they were side by side as they came up toward turn one. Nintendo replay on board the Murphy Mobile.
Sue Bernard hanging out wide there, making sure that there was no contact with anyone throughout turn one. You can only deduce from that, given that there's no other carnage to any other cars, they've both run into each other. They were side by side. The damage on the left-hand side, Stephen Johnson's, is pretty bad, but the damage to the other side of Paul Radisich is even worse. Cars 17 and 18.
Then, rather than filing into pit lane, Mark, and getting caught in a traffic jam.
Oh, this is Cameron McConville, and a bit of a barbecue going on underneath the lid of car number 3. That appears to be at the end of the main straight. Or did he get further around than that? So the thing has just cooked itself right there. Oh, that's on the way in, is it? That's on the way in, on the way out of pit lane.
Just coming out of pit lane, he's pulled it over to the side near the Armco there.
Yeah, just before the bridge.
Whoa, David Bernard, 4 wheels and more, right off on the grass through the Ford Mountain. He's still fighting it as he goes under the bridge.
For the season, car number 34 had some problems. Garth Tander.
It's coming out of Holden Hairpin and into the back straight, and he's just limping that thing along. Just make his way down to pit lane. Oh, he's got broken front suspension. Let's have a look at this on the Nintendo replay.
Straight through the corner at the S's. Let's see where he ended up there.
Well, by the looks of things,
must have gone before that.
Watch this front right wheel. Something sent Tander off. There she goes.
Whoa, 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 Wobble City.
Well, it could be broken steering, I'd suggest. Rodney Forbes into the tyres big time at the end of the back straight. Car 7, his best qualifying performance, and it's all come undone there. So the battle continues between Todd Kelly and Jason Bright. 5th and 6th on the road at the moment. Faulkner still out there, And here is Rodney Forbes in for repairs. Rusty?
Guys, as far as Garth Tander is concerned, he got on the radio around about half a lap ago and said it felt like something had broken in the steering. We saw him go off. Larry Perkins during the break has also been in. He's retired from this one, and he sounds as though he's pretty disgusted too. He's bolted out the back and won't really talk to us right now. The word from the team is they believe it's a power steering pump that's gone.
Yeah, we've heard of a number of power steering failures, particularly in the hydraulic system. And you can see here, Garth Tander is going to park it for this race. They can't obviously do a very quick repair on something like the steering in terms of safety.
Cars go hard at it like this. This is an incident involving Glenn Seaton. So John Fortner went through and Seaton just completely missed that one. Cameron McLean goes past. Mark Larkham goes past. And so too does Mark Scaife. So that was right down the end of the field. Now this is how Craig Lowndes got hold of Brad Jones. A simple error at turn 3, the exit of the S's.
See, it just takes a fraction of a second beyond the break. The car gets a little bit out of shape compared to anyone else here. Whoa, a bit of a nudge back in the pack.
Oh, 3 ways, and look who loses out of that one. Craig Lowndes was at the top of that queue. There was 3 cars behind him. They're all concertinaed into each other, and the loser was the man at the front of it.
Come on, mate, settle into a rhythm.
Goes right to the back of the pack and then some. You can see Stephen Johnson, who started off last position on the grid, is in for 5th place. And this is looking at the Lowndes incident on a Nintendo replay. Who gives him a serve? Looks like it might have been Brad Jones. Car 021, right in the middle of the pack there. And you can see Lowndes went right to
a different angle of that.
The one on the inside, one of the Castrol Commodores. Could have been one of the Castrol Commodores. So look at that from a few different angles. Let's have a look at this from this side.
Yeah, well, definitely the Castrol car did it.
My apologies to Brad Jones. Didn't see the Castrol car down the inside on that first shot.
Laps of this race. Oops. And Cameron McLean.
Lost a wheel.
Yeah. And there goes Dean Canto in car number 600. Off at the hairpin, that's car number 40's wheel. So Cameron McLean is currently trundling around with 3. And that's through the Mobile S's. So he's lost it and still managed to stay off the wall, we think. Dean Canto, if you missed us yesterday, has now got the drive in car number 600, the 4th driver to take that cat car drive. And look at Cameron McLean all over the shop as he tries to line up pit lane.
There's going to be some damage to that rear hub, doing 2.5 Ks around Pukekohe Raceway. Look at that, just grinding along on the disc grader.
Well, Jeff, Greg, that was a bit of a nervous moment for you with Bridie and Rick Kelly going head-to-head there.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's just Rick trying to pick the right moment. He's struggling a little bit, but, you know, early pace was good. So, I mean, it's fair. They're racing each other, and as long as they don't touch, they're fairly good.
For someone in your shoes, what do you do in a situation like that? Do you just let them race their race?
Rusty, they know the rules. You know, they're allowed to race each other as long as there's no contact. Ooh. And we always speak about it. Like you got to let them have a race. You can't be like Ferrari and make them pull over. But to a certain extent. And because of the sorry,
you go, mate.
Because of the because his tyres were working a bit harder, I mean, he discussed on the phone, he said he'd let him go and not hold him up any longer.
Look after those fingernails.
Okay, thanks.
Well, Larry Perkins' safety car is on the circuit, and here's the reason. Perkins well and truly beached down the end of the back straight. Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay.
The hairpin claims another victim. So that was Dean Canto going off earlier. Stuck there in the dirt just seconds after Cameron McLean lost his wheel at the other end of the track, and this is what happened to Larry Perkins. Whew, beached that one big time.
Just had everything locked up. And this is the wheel incident.
Well, I think he clipped that tyre barrier, he did. And then 10 or 15 metres later, the rear left goes its own way.
Well, Matthew, just to update you, I've been monitoring this for the last couple of minutes, and unfortunately for Mark Scaife, it seems to have dropped a cylinder. They're monitoring the oil pressure.
Well, yeah, wrapped the championship up and...
Bradley Jones stuck at the hairpin. The others are going to have to get around him, and they don't. Stephen Ellery caught up. I think Jason Richards just got out of the way. Larkham goes through, Canto goes through, and Jones is at the back of the pack.
He can count himself a very lucky man getting turned around right in the middle of that pack. There was an awful lot of cars that had to shuffle through that funnel. He managed to get away unscathed. So Jones gets back into the action. Here's our race leader, the king of Pukekohe from 2001. Greg Murphy takes over the lead. Stephen Richards in second. Jason Bright in third. So it could still well be a Holden Racing team on the podium finish in race 2. Jason Bright still out there in a competitive position, but Murphy now will have the bit between his teeth and his head down. Look at the gap he's opened now already as he feels the roar of the crowd. And the Kmart Commodore flying.
And this also puts the championship perspective into another interesting phase, because it's Murphy putting some pressure on Jason Bright for the second position in the championship. This is this incident back at the hairpin. Now they all try and get evasive action going here, but watch Jason Richards and Stephen Ellery come to grief. Ellery chipped out big time, and Richards just went through. This is on board with Stephen Ellery's car, so that's Jason Richards in front of him. They all try and get out of the way. Hang on a second, got to go right. Whoa.
It all happens in a matter of moments. Nintendo replay taking you right into the battle there from the Super Chief.
It's always been a horsepower track, so you know, he has the most, and you're right, we saw that yesterday. Brad was able just to power around the outside and disappear down the straight.
Well, that was Cameron McConville and Paul Wheel getting tangled up. There it is again at Holden Hairpin.
Bit of a helping hand from the K&J thermal machine. So Cameron McConville, after an underbonnet fire yesterday, in more trouble in race 2. Rusty?
Well, guys, you were talking there before about tyres and the problem facing a lot of drivers coming into the final race, getting your cleanest pair of dirty shirts out. Wanted to know from Paul Radisich, this track is a fairly coarse-grain style surface. The bitumen similar to Western Australia, but not as sharp on the edges. But there are some patches like this part of the track now, the hairpin, on the run down into the hairpin and off the exit where it has been resurfaced. Is it tough to set the car up for that, Paul?
Yeah, it is, Rusty. It's you know, the track is very slippery in that part, and as we get more rubber down, it becomes harder not only to stop the car, but to get on the throttle and get out of the turn. And you know, we're seeing the car
for Murph. Let's just take a look at Max Wilson going off, well and truly off at Holden Hairpin. Avoids any barriers or trouble for car number 65
in the car.
This is an incident involving Greg Crick, we understand. Car number 161, the 3M racing car.
Whoops!
Whoa. The first victim of the chase.
It'll always be tricky in the early laps of this race. The drivers tend to run a lot of rearward brake.
Well, joining us, we wish you well in the race, mate. Thanks for stopping by. Come and check Stephen Ellery and Paul Radisich. Stephen Ellery, 360. Right around the start-finish line on lap 13.
Well, he's shaking his head. We're not sure if there was contact between the shell and well, he's saying that he turned it around.
All right, Steve, just gather yourself up and keep going, mate. We'll get him later.
Ian Walburn, the very cool, calm and collected, enormously experienced team manager there, just giving a nice calm response to Stephen Ellery. His heart rate would be going at 200 a minute at the moment.
You can see the rear damage on the back of the Super Cheap Auto Ford. Look at this, Radisich gets right up behind him and now spins him around so close to the wall, kicks out the dirt. Radisich goes through, says it wasn't me. Stephen Ellery is left to shake his head.
Let's have a look at this from another angle. There's the 17 car ranging up behind. Ellery down the inside. He sweeps across. And this is what Ellery is claiming that he got hit. Indeed. Right there. Turned around. And very, very lucky to keep it off that Armco wall. That could have been disastrous very early on for the Super Cheap Autos team. Escape last year, went down. Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay.
That's the Cat Ford up the top. Watch this. Simon Wills, Steve Owen and Dale Breed rather doing the big spin across the top of the mountain. The Cat Ford, car number 600, and he just touches the wall. Time 2:09.919. Forrest Elbow here. John Faulkner in car 46. That was the problem. Yeah. There you go. Ivan Muller was right. Contact between the car number 15 and 46. And how did the greatest prepare?
Oh, look at this. Car 34. Sorry, Matty. Got a cut tyre here on the Valvoline Cummins Commodore for Garth Tander. Well, front right. Popped a hammering. And he's going to try and limp it down, but now it may not look too bad from the outside, but it might have done some damage. With that tyre flapping around, it can do all sorts of damage under there. So he's made 27 laps. Look at that shredded tyre. $1,000 wheel. Big go to our in-car camera. Looking down at the right-hand front wheel housing of the Valvoline Cummins car, giving you absolute inside view of what's going on there. Mechanics desperately trying to bend the bodywork out of the way. This is not a problem you want at any stage during Bathurst, but this early in the race, tough stuff. $1,000 wheel, and they're putting the magic race tape on to try and hold that front spoiler section on. It may have been damaged. Rusty?
Just coming down now, Garth trying to get out the way. Just try and tell us what happened to that front right, mate.
Well, mate, he just exploded like 270k. Just full on exploded.
Didn't give you any warning at all that it was going?
No, none at all. Just bang. Felt like the whole front end fell out of the car. It was massive, massive let go, and I was just lucky to pull her up.
How hard was it for the boys to readjust the strategy to get Jason ready to go and everything on hand?
We're probably about six to 8 laps early. We're going to make it up for the rest of the day.
Hard luck, mate.
Thanks.
Yeah, tough luck.
Some of these guys can afford to be conservative.
Here we go. This is the part that you're talking about. That's the Greg Crick entry. He's already been in trouble before. Just coming over the dip there, he just got it completely sideways. So if there was a problem involving oil, he has certainly found it. Car number 161. 1,000 trouble for Paul Radicic at the bottom of the S's. He's in a whole world of pain.
Will this be the safety car?
Well, looks like there's damage on the front of that car. You can't quite see it from here, but I think he's got himself into a whole lot of trouble. There you are.
Top of the mountain, and just the pedal went straight to the floor. The whatever front wheel just collapsed, and that was it.
Well, he's claiming he ran out of brakes. The pedal went right to the floor.
Okay, mate, we hear you loud and clear.
Meanwhile,
very sorry. Hop out as soon as you can and get safe, please.
There's a crucial pit stop going on for the Brad Jones Aussie Mail Ford Falcon, our race leader up until that stage. 28 seconds now. They're going to have to stop him. Oh, he was just about fired out, but they stopped him. We understand that the safety car is coming out. Mark Scape is coming in.
That makes it a genius stop, though, for the Aussie Mail Falcon.
It certainly does.
HRT following suit.
Now, Paul Radicic has to extricate himself from the car number 17 as the other traffic makes it away round. And that looks as though it's the end of the day, maybe, for the Shell Helix Ford Falcon.
Oh, I'd say it is if he gets out of the car. Look at the amount of damage on the front of the car.
Off to feed the horses again.
Well, now let's have a look on the Nintendo replay. This might tell the story. Well, he said the pedal went straight to the floor, and he had nothing going on there. Straight into the tyre wall. It's great to see that they put those tyre barriers there, because that used to just be a plain concrete wall, and boy, it did some damage. And that fortunately buffered the speed and minimised the damage on the Shell Ford. But Radicic out of the car, and that is the end for Paul Radicic and Stephen Johnson at Bathurst 2000.
Very simple one. Has Sir Jack got a winner for today?
Just bear with us. No, he's not sure.
I'll give you the answer to that one. Don't know. It was very, very simple. So, Jack, thanks very much for coming up to the commentary box. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of the race. Here's another legend, Peter Brock and Grant Denye's down there.
Well, Peter was one of the many teams there to make that call and come in on that safety car period, Peter.
Yeah, we got it right. I don't know how long the number 17 car was parked there, but when I saw that, I just said to the boys, I'm in. There's car, there's shrapnel, there's all sorts of stuff here, so safety car will be up for sure.
We heard you on the radio a little earlier in your stint going, this is just the best fun.
Yeah, it is great. Yeah, the car itself, well, it's interesting because it changes full tank of fuel, empty. So I was kept busy, and I had a couple of Trat and Faulkner around me, so I was sort of thinking, I'd like to have a clear bit of road here, but to do that, I've got to pass them, and that's going to take some work.
First stint into the race, was it still a good idea to come back?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's, you're driving around there, the car's running beautifully. I think Craig will get that car humming along, there's no doubt about that. I said to the boys before I start, this is going to be all about getting to the first fuel stop unscathed, and our plan is obviously last 25, 30 laps of the race.
Thanks, Peter.
Cheers.
Peter Brock is back in the mountain, and Paul Radicic is out of the race.
That is shut down. They're going to have to drag him out of there. Now, Mark Aston's in the pits with Jason Bright. We'll get his comment in just a moment, but here's how it all happened. A new complexion on this race.
Went wide, didn't he?
Got a rear wheel out in the dirt. The back came around so fast. just snuck into the gravel trap, and that's where he got stuck. That's going to bring a safety car. Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay.
Again here, really nothing to it, aside from the fact that Thomas Mazira got a little too wide on the approach into Murray's corner, and now he's stuck in the trap. There's Jason Bright, Mark Hastings with him.
Thank you, Matty. Jason, that's most unfortunate.
Oh, mate.
That's devastating, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing, but, hopefully they can get out of the sand trap quick enough and, we can keep on the lead lap. That's the most important thing here, and, we just hope the guys can get us out quick enough.
We were about to have a chat about general things, and all of a sudden that happened. You walked off. You were obviously very, very upset. How frustrating is it watching that from here?
Oh, it's pretty frustrating to see your own car in the sand trap, but, there's not much you can do about it, and we just have to push on. I mean, you can still win this race from back there, and, we're just going to get out there and do the best job we can. We've come from some pretty bad situations and one in the past, so I think we can do it again.
Under the circumstances, thanks for chatting to us.
Sorry?
Looking forward to getting back on the mountain. Problems here. We always have this on a restart. Always one or two cars get in trouble on these tyres, and the Aussie Mail car in trouble as well.
Yeah, that's the 888 car of John Clellan and Tim Lay. Understand that Tim Lay might be behind the wheel. He is, and the other car was Greg Crick and Philip Skyfleet. 161 with Philip behind the wheel. Understand that he went through the sand trap, so you could see that he was unloading all that gravel.
Look at these cars skating around all over the place. He's dumping a ton of dirt and garbage all over the track.
Oh, you can see it flickering up behind him, and that's dangerous given where he went through, down through the S's. Look at it, it's just pouring out the front of that car, leaving a vapour trail of dust behind him. Stephen Ellery tries to get out of the mess. Tucked in behind him is one of the better electrical cars. They come through the chase now. The slower cars get out of the way. Coming up to the 50th lap, the Bob Jane T-Mart's 1000.
That's the man we were talking about, Dean Canto. He's in behind Nathan Pretty and the Holden Young Lions Commodore. Look at them sorting their way out through the lap traffic. There's Canto on the inside of the better electrical Ford. Tries to squeeze up the inside. I think might have got racing room, but look at the trouble. For Tim Lay. Ford was in there. He was sideways coming over the top of Skyline. How lucky is it they put that?
T-Mart's 1000. Let's take a look back through the field. Oh, there's 59.
Miller, Searle, Commodore. Just getting out of shape coming out of the elbow. Let's have a look at this again from another angle.
Wow.
Oh, he was very lucky to keep that off that concrete wall. Look at that. It's just a canyon. There's concrete both sides.
It's not often you can go through there sideways and come. Jason Bargwanna behind the wheel. That is the end of the day for the 2000 Bathurst champions. We had a chat to Garth Tander before, and he thought that once they went a lap down, they'd be in trouble. Well, they're now in more trouble. This is exactly what happened. Came over the top. I heard him say that there was some pebbles on the track, and that was the end. Look at the front tyre, an absolute mess. The interesting thing here is that the dirt didn't stop him, really. He just kept spearing towards the wall. And in a cloud of dust, up goes their campaign. The Aussie Mail car a little earlier on. Car 888, Tim Lay, getting wide through the chase, just getting out of there before he got into trouble. He's had some problems. Tim Lay and John Clellan. And then they pulled into the pits to try and see what the drama was. Look at their front right as well. Gee, everybody's copping it on the front right-hand side. He's not the first to go in with drama on that side. Probably won't be the last. Look at him, just tear into the panels and try and get it down. Smash and bash and treat it with all sorts of disrespect.
Gee, we've had a few flat tyres today, haven't we? Larkham and Power, Tander and Bargwanna early on, Muller and Prio.
Well, a lot of these guys were talking across the weekend about that loading. Exactly.
They're a lot closer together now, as you'd expect after this incident where Jason Bargwanna came a gutser in front of one of the angriest crowds on top of the mountain. They would have given Jason a very, very warm reception, though, because they're also sympathetic.
So obviously spent a lot of time up there, Billy. Yes. Under safety car conditions, and as Jason Bargwanna makes his way back to pit lane, we've got Garth Tander in the commentary box. The last time we were speaking, Garth, you were down in pit lane hoping to still be part of this race, but it all changes in an instant. What was the explanation from Barg? Some marbles on the track, was it?
Yeah, the only radio communication we got was that he got wide into some marbles and then into the fence. It's already in the fence there.
We should explain that for people at home. What marbles is like a racing terminology for all the bits of rubber that roll off the tyres and they build up off the racing line, and the drivers say when you get out on them it's like driving on marbles. So
yeah, he just became a passenger and parked her up there at McPhillamy Park to probably go get a beer, I'd say. So.
Has not been your day.
No, it's been a pretty tough day. We've had a really good lead up to the race, and even the start of the race, we're just sitting at the back of the top 10, just cruising around, waiting for the end of the day to come along. Had that tyre explode on.
It's one of those things, mate, isn't it?
Sure is. Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay of the Seaton Bernard car, taking a wide across the gravel there. Managed to get back onto the track, it looks like, without any damage.
Something that Jason's
done a great job.
Oh no, car number 35, that's the end of the Valvoline Cummins Commodore, all over both cars now. And that is the Konica bend, so he's just missed that right-hand turn completely. Jamie Whincup and Mark Noske piloting that car this weekend, 35. Remember, 34 is already out of it. Jamie's behind the wheel, and thankfully he's okay because the door is moving on. No, Marcus Ambrose. That's through the chase.
Poor Will. Something flapping on the right.
Oh,
bit of tyre, I'd imagine.
Front right-hand tyre claims another victim.
Might have had another tyre explode. Oh, look at that.
Explode.
It's a big tyre explosion. I would say he's picked up a puncture somewhere, because they don't explode like that unless there's a problem. So it's deflated on him, and then of course it comes apart.
We've had Garth Tander have a tyre explode coming down Conrod. This looks like a similar incident. It's interesting on the right, because that's the front corner. The cop's such a hiding across the top of the mountain.
Well, Mark, it's not. I don't think there's anything a tyre problem, but there's so much debris on the track, even at this early stage over the mountain. It's amazing. So you know, you pick up a puncture, you don't realise you've got it until too late.
Let's go to Rusty.
Well, guys, I'm down here. Enormous damage to the front right. They are going to try and do the pad stop here. They're keeping going. They're diving for an under tray at the back as well, but I don't know whether that's going to be in vain. Paul Wheel is staying behind the wheel. I might sneak into the garage and see if I can have a word to Marcus at the same time and see if he's aware of maybe what happened. He's looking pretty dejected right now, but can you shed any light on it? Do you know what happened there?
I think he might have clipped the wall there. We're not too sure.
Marcus is not too happy, fellas.
Let's take a look. This is Paul Wheel now coming down the end of Conrod Straight, lining up Caltech's chase. So by there, the problem's already started, and you can see the front right-hand wheel start to look like a windmill.
Yeah, he's already the tyre's already flat by then. He just couldn't turn it. So I reckon he's had a puncture, and the tyre obviously then deflates and overheats and falls apart.
Orders to shut down.
Word on the radio to turn the engine off. Sure, they're going to try and fit a new front fender to that right-hand side as well. They've got the new front spoiler on.
Is fender an Australian word, is it? Or
we'll find out. Let's go to Greg again.
I thought it was on a boat.
Guys, I'm down here with Paul Wheel. Paul, what happened? Was there a tyre explosion? Did something let go? What went wrong?
I tyre let go, or must have hit something on the way down, but I didn't see. And just exploded going through the chase flat out.
Are you struggling to breathe there, mate? It sounds like the tyre smoke might have come inside the car, did it?
No, it's okay. It's just a little bit disappointing because we were running so well, and the car had a lot of pace, and all I had to do was come in this lap, and would have been another stop and get another 30 laps and give it back to Marcus and let him go and win the race. But you know, we'll just have to wait and see what happens here.
The right front guard is gone. Was there contact with a wall or something like that?
No contact whatsoever with the wall. Didn't hit anything. Just gave no warning whatsoever. I don't know what happened.
What a tough day this is turning out to be at the mountain, guys.
Isn't it? Thank you, Rusty. Good chat there with Paul Wheel, and great to see just inside the cockpit. It's amazing, isn't it, to just see what the drivers are going through, and that's what happened to car number 4.
He goes just straight on. Something must have broken there. An odd place to go in. That's at Konica Bend. There was a little oil spill too on the back of that. Not really on the racing line, so a bit of sand there might just fix that up. But anyway, a tough day all round for Gary Rogers Motorsport. Now, we've had some strange things happening with the wind this weekend. We've had some willies going round this circuit, which I haven't seen for a long time. And that may have been the reason, or it may have just been the gusts that we've had, and there have been some quite strong ones.
Well, yeah, just a pit entry there. The other side of Conrod Straight. Look at that.
Someone would have got a shock as they sipped their Chardonnay. That looked like one of the marquees that was covering some of the special guests, perhaps. Now we're going to try and talk to Greg Murphy as they're still under the safety car. Murph, this is Bill, Matt and Mark up in the commentary box. Can you hear us, mate?
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Murph, what happened there with the fuel rig?
The car got dropped when it shouldn't have. Basically, the car stays on, obviously stays on the jacks until we're ready to go. and that means it stays on the jacks until the fuel's full. And for some reason, the car got dropped, and my signal man wasn't standing in front of the car because he was obviously watching the fuel. And as soon as it dropped, that's usually the signal to go. So I went, and unfortunately, the fuel was still connected.
It's not often that you guys make mistakes down in that pit crew, Murph. I know that you'd back them 1000% because they've been right on the hammer, but it could have been really ugly, couldn't it?
Well, I think it was ugly enough, actually, mate. We don't like to have accidents at all in the pit, and that was a mistake, and certainly the guys aren't very happy about that. But we'll get on with the job. Sounds like lucky enough we got enough fuel in the car to go. It'll tighten our window a little bit, but these safety cars are certainly going to help.
Well, that's what we were wondering about your fuel window, Murph, because we weren't sure how much fuel you got into the car, but I take it was only a couple of seconds before you were due to go out anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't too many, but obviously it's not a full tank. But from the calculations, it's going to be okay because we've got some pretty good mileage, and also the first 2 stops we went to. Geez, is that a tent?
Yeah, a whole corporate box going through the air, mate.
Is everyone all right?
Well, no survivors have wandered out of it yet. But
yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we got a fair bit in, and with the running Todd went to empty on that last stint, so that's good because we haven't had to stop too early. And my first stint was 31 laps, so that was pretty good too.
Tony Longhurst, a 2-time winner at the Mountain. That's the entry of Daryl Beattie and Tyler Mecklem. And Konica Bend claims another victim, car number 14, the Emery Motorsport car. It's in a pretty precarious position.
Mecklem's
and it's
over
a
the
bit of a
wheel
wreck on the right-hand side, so he's hit that fairly hard, Tyler.
I don't think Daryl's going to get another stint somehow.
It's going to be another safety car too, I'd say.
Yeah.
That car well and truly jammed up against the wall.
Under yellow conditions.
Frio and Muller.
Van Muller, and that's Tyler Mecklem going in backwards into the bend.
I tell you, another car that's done extremely well, and that's
four-wheeled experience here been like.
It's obviously a big change to Queensland, obviously a lot more difficult, but I think now I've just grown in more and more confidence in the car and getting the feel for it.
And that is definitely a safety car situation.
He's facing the wrong way. We'll see exactly what happened. Got turned around by car 888 behind him and smash!
Big time. He got helped on his way by the Aussie Mail car. Let's have another look at this from another angle. And
right there.
Boof. Thank you. Oh. And as you can see, there's no room for error. Mount Panorama bites, and it bites hard when you get offline. There's concrete walls. Very unforgiving.
Jeff Full and Mark Porter took over that drive in car number 43, which is Paul Wheel's regular championship car. The DuPont-sponsored car. And the K&J Thermals Ford, of course, they finished 18th at the Queensland 500, their first drive together up there at Willowbank, and now this one's come to a close. It's come to an end, and I just hope Mark Porter, who's behind the wheel, is okay because he's been stuck in the cockpit for a while, probably because...
The tread straight off the top, causing all sorts of problems so far this weekend, Jeff.
It has, certainly. So far, we've had quite a few drivers suffering flat spotting problems. You're only going to get one good go at it before the tyre will flat spot ban.
I'll have to stop you there. We've just heard that Ambrose has just left the circuit.
Okay. Sorry about that, Jeff. We might have a chat to you shortly. And that's right, Brad. Marcus Ambrose went in perpendicular to the Aussie Mail Forest Elbow, but he's rejoined the race. So the Pertec Ford car number 4.
I think that tyre's still up. Can you keep going? Just see what that tyre feels like. Give the steering a little bit of a turn from side to side and see if your car feels stable.
Paul Wheel is in the driver's seat there. So
I want you to pit this lap.
And there's more problems for car 21. That happened before Paul Wheel went into that wall. And Brad Jones and John Bower, the Aussie Mail car 21, just continues to have dramas. They'll have to come in here because there's all sorts of problems with their Ford. But car 4 just keeps going. Don't know what happened there. Apologies to Jeff from Dunlop, who was trying to explain exactly what the story is with all these tyres. As Grant showed you, the flat spotting has been the major problem, and you can understand why. Look at that. It's just chopped it to smithereens. So Jones and Bower continue to slide down the sheet. Second last year, this man got off to an enormous start.
We've seen a lot of tyre failures today, haven't we? that Conrod Straight, and particularly that right front on a lot of different cars.
Well, they haven't held back, have they? They've given everything here a smashing. These cars copping absolute pounding on any Bathurst, and so do the crew guys.
Well, that could have been dangerous if another car was coming through, but fortunately it wasn't. Intense pressure for these crews here, and it's getting late in the day too. This is incredibly stressful for all the guys here. Even when they're not actually doing a pit stop, they are waiting and watching and wondering.
You've got to remember, race start is 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and what are we now? 2:30 in the afternoon. This will give us a insight into what happened to Paul Wheel. Oh, I think that was the mix-up. That was definitely the mix-up with Brad Jones. Watch this. Both of them will come through together. They got locked up together. That's what happened to the front right of Brad Jones's car, and that's the reason why Paul Wheel ended up staring.
57,180. That's up 5,000 as I speak.
Electrical. That's Tony Longhurst. Car number 66, is it? Car
65.
So that's Wilson and Canto.
Wow, Canto was running so competitively. He was sitting up there in 6th or 7th position. The other Caterpillar car is involved there too. Look at a collision between the two Fords. And Dean Canto will be devastated. He was running so competitively up there on 7th position with only one more stop to go. He was well in contention for this one.
You can just see the marshal there running to the front and just hitting that red button on the front of the windscreen. That just makes sure that there's no chance of a fire breaking out in that car, and that Dean Canto is safe enough in the cockpit for now to climb out. Thankfully, he's a little bloke and he can fit out that window okay. This is what happened coming up through Falcon Corner at Reed Park. The Caterpillar car number 600, goes right through the wrong way. Now watch Canto come flying up the mountain. He doesn't know what's happening here. He can't see this car. Oh, one of the Castrol cars goes through and misses it, but Canto collects, does he? Oh, he must have just
a touch,
brushed it and got thrown into the wall at the other side.
Let's have a look at this. There it is.
Just collected the rear of Canto's car, and bang, into the wall he goes. Out of the race he goes. The end of car number 65.
Well,
look at the debris that's thrown onto the track as a result of that.
Another strong Ford, Matty. That car was looking very competitive there, sitting in behind the Ingle, Crompton, Scaife, Dumbrell battle.
I wonder, Mark, what this does to the pit stop shuffle. We've got Longhurst and Morris out there who were out of sequence, and I wonder if this safety car situation will actually help them, or at least ease the pain of having to make that extra pit stop.
Well,
and that's the reason why the latest one is out. We've had a couple of...
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Another one. Paul Wheel and Marcus Ambrose, car number 4. Another one bites the dust. The front right's gone. It's flapping around like so many before them. These guys are lapped down in 15th position. They've had everything thrown at them today. More shredded tyres. They're going through them at a rate of knots. $1,000 a pop, these ones. And Rusty's down there. What is the story with all this, Rusty?
I don't know, Matty. It's very surprising indeed. Lots of damage to the front end. The last time this happened, they had to change a shock absorber. They don't look like they're going to do that this time around. Marcus is going to stay in the car. And you could hear, just starting back to the 0-0 pit stop before, you could hear the disappointment in Neil Crompton's voice and Oscar Fiorinotto's voice. They had to clear that plastic bag from the intake to the engine. It was too risky. They were worried about overheating the car, and a big question mark over whether the car can economically finish the race without another stop. It looks like they'll need one.
oh boy, it's going to be touch and go. If they had a couple of long safety car periods, they may be able to squeak through. Let's have a look at the Ambrose incident again. Tyre failure.
Well, that's exactly the same spot that it happened to in the same car to Paul Wheel. Coming down that same spot, that's where he punctured his. And it ended up doing the same thing. I thought we'd gone back in time there on the coverage, but a different driver, same car, same problem. And now they're stationary in pit lane. They were all geared up, Stone Brothers Racing, to come back and get another Bathurst title. They last did it in '98 with Jason Bright and Steve. From V8 Supercar Racing 02. Craig, what happened here? They've come in here.
It's quite amazing.
Rick's the big loser, isn't he? Watch.
Well, it's quite amazing because really at the top of the mountain...
Watch Kelly, look.
The circuit is dry, but out through the chase here, it's very wet.
Now, we're hearing from the stewards that Rick Kelly has the opportunity to readdress that situation. It shows that they bumped Perkins out of the way, and under the driving code, you are allowed to address or redress the situation by letting Perkins back in front. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Otherwise, if he doesn't let him back in front, he'll get a black flag and a drive-through penalty, which is what he doesn't want. But this
I can tell you, it's the Christian de Gostin, David Kraus entry, the other Imrie Motorsport car, so that's the end of that one. Parked in the sand trap, and with 19 laps to go, that means that we've got another safety car condition, so we're doing it in little spurts at the moment. Little 5-lap spurts, even if they get that far, but you can see the brawl that they've got going. We'll see what happened to this 13 car, just, well, nothing really. Complete lock-up. Into the trap and stuck.
It's still actually quite wet down the bottom there. You can actually see the dry line, and he just got off the race line, and just round he's gone.
It must be so difficult, though, when you're getting these like little...
For next year.
He did a fantastic job today, Paul Dunbrell, Craig. He just, oh, look at this big brake lock-up back there for the Pertec Ford. That's a lap car. To get that out of the way because it's right in the middle of the leading pack.
We've had a lot of trouble there
in the previous tour, so he's really pushing. Here's Greg Ritter on the Nintendo replay, in trouble down there at the chase. Big trouble, but managed to keep it out of the gravel.
He's seen a lot of the grass
because it was 0.4 on the previous lap. Now
600 car, he's gone off before and he goes off again, but straight into the cutting. Does he get it going? It's important that he does, because he's going to have to get it out of the way here.
As the field push their way through.
Oh, big spin from Brad Jones and Jason Richards. Through the Boost Mobile S as they go, and Bradley Jones comes a cropper again.
See, one of the Valvoline Cummins cars was in trouble as well. So the field saw the pack there, expect Escape to come in for a stop very early. Let's have a look at this Nintendo replay of that first corner.
Oh, Jason Richards just went straight across the grass.
T-boned.
Rejoined the track. That's exactly right, Mark. T-boned Brad Jones in car 21. One of the Castrol cars, that'd be Larry Perkins at the back of the pack. Takes some action. Wow, to get out of the way.
The Kmart racing team's pit. Now, that was a safety concern. So what they've done is they put that island there. It has made it a little bit tight for the Kmart team to get in, but there's nothing these teams won't do to try and minimise the time in pit lane.
Well, while you're talking, Grant, Mark Scaife has gone off.
Average on the brakes after all that.
He's saying that the tyres were average under brakes, so he's gone off at Holden Hairpin and collected.
Coming, mate. This chock is full of dirt.
Yeah,
chock is full of dirt.
A whole heap of dirt for his trouble. They're going to have to clear that out. So he started back in 28th position, and he'd worked his way right up through the field, but now he's starting to slide all the way back down the rear. So Mark Scaife, the bad luck that plagued him in race 2 and put him out with an engine problem, has now sprung back and got him again in race 3 on lap 16 of 54. That is good news for this man.
Well, puts him in the box seat. Yeah, he puts him in the box seat to win the round overall for the second year in a row. He hasn't done a clean sweep this time. He's had to take a back seat to Scaife on pole position and victory in race 1. But at the moment, he's got 195 points for the round. Bright, 148. So Greg Murphy looking very well positioned here to make it 2 from 2. Now, we've just heard from pit lane, the HRT boards are telling Scaife to pack it in.
Just down here, guys, there's lots of dirt, obviously, in the intake of car 1. Also, point of interest for you, Craig Lowndes' car when it came past wasn't sounding very good at all, so possibly a problem for the 00 Motorsport Ford. We might try and get a word here from Mark Scaife, but he looks as though he is getting out of the car, boys, is he?
Oh, there's a big battle going on here, Rusty. It's getting pretty hot and heavy too. Oh, a little bit sideways. You can see the number 2 car snap sideways there as he tried to get 600 horsepower to the ground. Mark Scaife, we hear, has stepped out of the car. He is out of this race. A weekend that promised so much has ended disastrously for the 5 times series champ.
Quite early. This is obviously another replay.
Big trouble. Look, he just dented the back. Now he's done the front on those tyres.
He's done a 720 there too. He lost the rear before. Head first into the tyre barriers.
We're ready for you.
Oh, John Powell. Front left 2 for him, but there's a lot of damage around there, so he's collected something, and David Bernard has collected the wall. That would have been really high speed.
Could well have been between those 2 cars. They would have been roughly on the same part of the track.
Yeah.
So we'll find out about that. Here is Russell Ingall cut that left front tyre. This place has gone berserk. Murphy in for the same drama. Grant?
Yeah, how funny. We're only really talking about how it's improved his championship position, but only opted to change the one. The front left tyre was the damaged tyre, and it's amazing how many cars are now coming in, running on 3 wheels.
Gee, there's been a spate of tyre failures, Lounsey. What do you put your finger on that?
Well, I'm not sure. A lot of it's due to lock-ups, so, you know, we just have to wait and see. The tyres have been moved. We saw Glenn Seaton move those set of tyres into turn 2. I don't know whether there's any bolts or anything sticking up out of the ground there.
Lights are out on the safety car. We're about to go back to racing. Marcus Ambrose at the front of the queue. Then he's got the Kelly gang behind him. Todd and Rick. This is a replay of Glenn Seaton's car going over the spike. Here's another one, John Bow.
Yeah, one of the problems, we were trying to work out exactly why we were getting so many flat tyres. See that spike right there? That was holding the tyre barrier together. Now the officials have got the sledgehammer and everything to that to get rid of it. That tyre barrier.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Oh, problems here for Stephen Richards. And he's bogged it too in the gravel. Just went straight off on the entrance to turn 3.
They may even bring another safety car out to get that car out of that gravel trap.
It's in a pretty vulnerable spot, isn't it, Craig?
It is actually.
Worried about right now is how many other cars ran over it that perhaps yet haven't suffered a tyre deflation.
Yeah, could be a question. There might be a real time bomb out there with some of those tyres. Greg Rust on the spot. Here's Team Brock.
What a wild spin.
Shattered front spoiler for Craig Baird.
He was in a top 10 race position there too. He was about 8th or 9th coming around to complete that lap. So Craig Baird, the Kiwi, had a wild ride and then boom.
So Greg Murphy. There's a few cars back from this battle. His teammate Todd Kelly, though, well in contention for a race win. Let's have a look at the replay. Craig Lowndes.
Here he is, trapped in the middle there at Holden Hairpin.
Oh, he got a biff. It might have been from the VIP Pet Foods car.
And John Bow head first into Baird's car. This is another angle of it. Nowhere to go.
No, unfortunately, it's a corner that you can easily get tagged. I know that for a fact. But I'm looking at John Bow. He's running around the circuit. There is smoke coming out of his car, so I'm not sure whether he'll be pitting this lap as well.
He's already had a big hit. He's just taken another one right in the front of the car. Grant Denyer.
The bad news for Craig Baird now is he has a leaking radiator. As a result of that contact, he won't resume, but John Bow will be coming in. The guys have 4 sets or 4 new tyres to put on that car as well. That's their 5th stop for that team.
Well, I can tell you, overall on the championship points for the round, Greg Murphy is edging closer and closer.
Car back to pit lane, so too car 17. So 2 of the top Fords go out in a matter of only a few moments. So it's Commodores 1, 2, 3, 4 at the front of this pack. Let's have a look at the replay. Look at that. That's a frightening moment, Craig Lowndes.
Well, it is, especially when you're only trying to stop on 3 wheels. He did a great job to keep it on the black stuff. It's a damn pity. It's a damn shame, really, for Ford. You know, Marcus had a strong car this weekend. He was going along quite nicely. It's as Ross said, he did flat spot it, and that's probably what the cause was. Oh, look at it now.
These guys run a hell of a lot of negative camber on the front of the car to get good turn in, and maybe that's been too much for the tyres under heavy braking.
Richards and Todd Kelly make up your top 5. Here's Stephen Ellery.
Oh, getting very tight there between John
Max
Bow.
Wilson has just completely taken out one of the Castrol cars. I think it's Russell Ingall.
Oh, you can see that coming. There was a collision there between the Aussie Mail Ford and the better electrical car. Russell Ingall was the victim. Just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he got served up right off to the edge of the circuit. We don't know how bad the damage is from that collision, but you can see Ingall's gone right to the back of the pack.
I'd love to see that again because Max Wilson was doing all sorts of dancing around here. Now just watch behind Stephen Ellery's car. John Bow's also involved in this. Bow's hovering around the back of Ingall. Now Wilson gets back on the track, slam, takes out car number 8.
Well, John Bow went one way, saw Wilson McLowndes back in 1999, long before control tyres.
This is Matthew White in car number 24. The other VIP car has been the Ultra Tune entry, and he's found the dirt. Had a couple of drives this season and also competed in both the Enduros that had its engine dramas. It's Russell Ingall's having a few dramas, or is that Larry? That's Larry getting back on track.
Well, Jeff, Jason Bright was out of the car pretty quickly. He's bolted out the back. Obviously pretty disappointed. What's happened?
Yeah, well, it should be. You know, looks like we've got some problem with the car, engine related, but you know, it hasn't been a good weekend. It hasn't been a couple of good rounds for us, unfortunately. But there's not much we can do. We'll try and get it solved and get out on the track tomorrow.
Jeff, did he give you any indication of what went wrong? With the symptoms similar to Mark's car in Pukekohe?
No, he didn't really give it. Oh, he's probably disappointed. He didn't like to start a radio and give us a full debrief, but you know, it is something wrong with the engine. We don't know. Don't know whether it's related to what's been going on lately, so we'll just have to do a post-mortem.
Fingers crossed for car 1 and 02.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'd hazard a guess that Holden Racing Team perhaps is doing a little bit of racetrack development in these final rounds with the championship over. Maybe it's a time to start stretching the envelope a little bit. Now there's Perkins all on his own, under pressure from Junior Johnson, but no contact between the two cars. And Larry, you can see, backed it right over to the fence to turn around. Another Nintendo replay. Problems here for Matthew White once again. There was a ton of oil drop down there from Cameron McLean's engine failure, so maybe Matt getting caught out by a slippery surface. Look at the Nintendo replay. Problems here for the Team Brock Commodore, which spun and took Shell 18 Falcon of Paul Radicic with it. Now, looks like Radicic managed to get out of trouble.
Less than 4 laps to go, and this is the costly manoeuvre that put Craig Lowndes in a spin. Into the back of Stephen Richards. He lost track position to Richards and Mark Scaife and tried to regather, and he overdoes it. Another spin. And that left him back in 7th position. The in-car tells us how it happened. Lowndes almost collected the tyres there as he just touched the back of Richo's car. Well, it was a little more than a touch, really. And then he overcooked it when he tried to spin himself back into the race. That was the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th. Now Mark Scaife slipped through to 5th after Stephen Richards had a little problem, but this is Lowndes' spin again from Scaife's point of view. You saw Richo running off there after he got the tap, and that of course allowed Scaife.
At this race, Greg Murphy in car number 51.
Fastest man on the track is Stephen Richards there. Car 16 is a big
Oh, that's Dean
smoke.
Canto.
Wow, let's see how a big engine blow up in the Cat Ford. Look at this. Monumental. Mechanical failure. The smoke's filling the cabin as well. So poor old Dean Canto, after such a great run yesterday, looks like he's... Oh, there's smoke pouring from that car. He's going to have to get it right off the racing line. And he is out of this one. Now, what's he going to do? Try and limp it around to the pits? Let's have a look at the Nintendo GameCube replay of the start. You can see Murphy got a great start. Lowndes tucked in there behind Scaife. Crompton went wide over the white line, so you can see as they start to form this arrowhead shape, a relatively clean start. It was a good battle by Todd Kelly and Marcus Ambrose under brakes, but the Pertec Ford nudged in front. But when they refuel, they've got enough gas to go to the end. Let's have a look on the Nintendo replay. Troubles for the VIP Pet Foods car. Cameron McLean went straight across the dirt, dragged a whole lot of garbage onto the track. Looks like he's been...
This is it, Cameron McConville. Well, this is the aftermath, but I'll tell you what, the actual incident was pretty scary for Cameron. You would not like to be in the driver's seat, Matty, when that happened.
Wait until you see the crunch here at the top left-hand side of your screen. He's carrying 260 plus. Look at the impact. It throws the Lansvale car completely around and almost back onto the track. Solid impact right on the front right-hand side of that car. Cameron McConville got out okay, but you're going to have to remove that car from that part of the circuit. That is the quickest part of the circuit, probably the most dangerous. So he's lucky to get out of that.
Gee, you'd hope that wasn't a component failure, wouldn't you? They've had a few things breaking on this car throughout the year. It's had plenty of speed on a number of occasions, but always let down with simple mechanical failures that have broken gear stick or gear linkage. Yesterday, we've seen failures with the rack and pinion system and the steering. So hopefully that wasn't a failure at such a critical part of the racetrack. Darryl?
Paul, what's happened to the car?
Oh, it's developed a power steering fluid leak and eventually, ran out of power steering.
Any chance you're going to fix it and go back out?
Oh, there's not much point. We weren't that quick. There's a lot of cars out there with a lot of straight line handling, so we need to work on that before we come racing again.
All right, mate, thanks.
Thanks.
So Paul Morris is another victim. And
straight line handling, it's a good line. Plenty of horsepower out there. Yeah, look, that's the impact point for the Lansvale Racing Team Commodore. Didn't he drill it? That presents a problem now for race director Tim Schenken. He's got to make sure the track is in a safe condition before they resume racing. Let's have a look at this again on the Nintendo replay. Now watch this, he's way out of control and crunch. Oh. I wonder if he's ripped the right front suspension completely out of the car. That was a huge hit.
Look where it almost ended up. Well, it did end up back out on the track.
Yeah, he got thrown right back out there.
And that guardrail that we were just looking at before actually was kind of a nice smooth curve before car number 3 decided to go in and put its nose into it sideways. So Cameron McConville ends 2002 not the way he wanted to. He's had 2 top 10 performances this season, and if you've just joined us, he has re-signed with Lansvale for another 2 years. So Cameron McConville will be back. Now, understand we've got Marcus Ambrose.
Pack there, dust coming up in that very difficult section between turn 2 and 3. Paul Stokel, Stephen Ellery involved. But it looks like most of the pack's been able to get away unscathed. So here they go, green flags waving. We're back to full speed ahead. John Faulkner, a lapped car in there. So too Rodney Forbes, Team Brock. Craig Baird at the wheels, some battle damage there. And he's limping slowly up the back straight.
Paul Stokel's gone straight into the tyre barrier at turn 4. That's a precarious position, so maybe we'll see another safety car if he can't remove.
Have a whole spate of safety car periods here. There's the damage. The back of the Team Brock Commodore. Not quite sure what happened in that first section, but you can see the damage.
Yeah, he popped a crunch in the front and a flat rear right. So Craig Baird is out of the Team Brock car.
I think that's it for the day, folks. Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay. This is after Stokel got going after that. Oh, broken front suspension, or maybe the wheels come loose, but he's got no steering there. And as a result, he goes straight off and into the tyre wall. So Paul Stokel, innocent there. Let's have a look at what's going on down here further in the pack. Ah, well, Holden Racing Team Commodore coming charging through. That turned the Super Cheap Autos Falcon around. And maybe, well, the Stokel incident was a separate incident.
Well, I think Team Brock, I think Craig Baird was involved in Stokel. You can see him coming through at the end there, and we'll go on board with Marcus Ambrose to see if we can understand what's happened. Now, that's further ahead. You can see the Holden Racing Team Commodore to the right of your screen spin around Stephen Ellery, and behind that,
it's a collision between the better electrical car and Seaton. It just goes to show when
it is out there. You can see it's getting a little bit quicker, the guys coming into the 12s. But the pace is, you know, around 6-7 tenths slower.
I was going to say, I just think I spotted some damage to Greg Murphy's car. I'm not sure if that was a result of that collision.
Can you hear me?
Now we're here. He did that as he came into pit lane.
Wait.
One of the things we've been talking about this entry. Gee, they're not letting him go anywhere.
No, don't. Wait. Go.
So Greg Murphy goes back out. Now hopefully that damage to the front of the car won't have affected the engine or any of its ancillaries. Looks like he's had a pretty hard hit. Let's have a look at this. So it happened down here.
Yeah, he's dicing with Jason Barguana, and that's coming around the final turn twice.
Well, these two came together in far more spectacular circumstances at Phillip Island. That was an interesting incident.
Now there's a lock up there from Craig Lowndes, and there's another lock up here. Faulkner's gone, Lowndes is gone. One of the Holden Racing Team cars is off. There are 5 cars off the circuit, 6, now 7. I wonder if there's some oil on that corner up there, because there is a whole, in fact, David Bernard's gone off as well. Crompton's in a sandwich there.
Yeah, watch the double O car and you just see something fire across. What would that be?
That's very bizarre. That's something in the rear end of the car, but it's obviously dumped a heap of oil, because look at these guys sliding off. I mean, they really haven't had any warning. There wouldn't be any flags out at such short notice, and John's gone way into the sand trap. He's probably been worse, but there's about half a dozen cars that have all slid off.
Let's have a look at this again, Cam. There it goes.
That's, yeah, look, it's so lucky that hasn't hit another car, but something metal for sure, rear suspension, I don't know, but you can see Craig obviously struggles to make the corner, so it's something in the rear end that's broken and dumped a whole heap of oil in the process.
Well, look at the number of cars. They're just waltzing on a skating rink there. Look at them, one after the other. Really caught out a lot of competitor. Let's have a look at this again on the Nintendo replay. What comes out of this car? There it goes.
There it is. I don't know, very odd. I'm wondering whether that is a rear brake pad, but rear brake shouldn't be a problem here, and then it wouldn't cause oil unless it's actually
we're just
broken something on the way through.
Maybe it's an oil cooler that's come loose and dumped oil everywhere. It's quite a large item.
Certainly a heap of oil down, that's for sure, because all those guys had no hope of making the corner.
How are you going to cope with this for the rest of the race?
Well, we've done a lap or two around here. You reckon we'll just go a bit of touch and feel? No, seriously, it's okay. Yep. I've actually given it a bit of a wash, and it's probably about half as bad as it was, so it'll be okay.
Well, we're trying to do a radio hookup between...
We've completed now, so 4:27 of Garth Tander goes through. Mark Larkham will have a new driver and 2 cars next season, and more tangles at the restart.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's got to be Jason Bargwanna doing donuts on the dirt to get back on.
Fortunately, everyone was able to miss him. Always something goes wrong. Oh, problems here too. And car 16, Stephen Richards has drilled the tyre wall.
That is a big, big crunch right underneath the nose of our camera.
In turn 4, she's all over.
And that's exactly the same spot where Neil Crompton, 27.
He was involved, I would say. Look at that point of impact.
Absolutely,
for
and Larry Perkins ends up in trouble as well. Double disaster for the Castrol team. That's right on the spot, so there's definitely oil being left behind, and Larry at the back of the pack caught it on his way around. Must have done a 360 to end up in that position. Lowndes rejoining the race. 27 will be out of it because it was a big crunch involving Neil Crompton and Stephen Richards. And look at Stevie Richards trying to get out. That's at turn 4. I was going to mention that's where Paul Stokell went in.
Maybe you can explain to the people at home, Cameron McConville, why we just see this drama erupt when we ever have a restart.
Well, I was really surprised if anyone thinks no one has a go here. I mean, this race, at the start there, it was on for young and old. Paul Radicic ran into me a couple of times. Everyone was having it, red hot go. The tyres are pretty old now, and they cool off. It's a very hard compound. They cool off very easily, but everyone's been quite aggressive. You think this was a 3-lap sprint. There's Barg. Looks like he got a hit from behind, maybe from Russell or Richo. I think it was Russell.
Larry in there, car 11. Oh, gee, he got hooked up too, didn't he?
So they're all being, pretty aggressive at these restarts. Tyres do get skatey, and obviously the track's getting slipperier and slipperier with different oil getting put down.
Yeah, now this is the incident right underneath our camera, and you'll see 16 come straight underneath us. There he goes into the wall.
So there was 2 Castrol cars getting hit. There looks like Larry was getting turned around there. Russell or Larry by Paul Radicic or one of the Shell cars. But Stephen must have had a hit, I would say, from Neil Crompton, looking at the damage on Neil's car, and just pushed into the tyre wall there.
Well, we had no safety cars in race 1. Now we've got a rash of them in race 2. Very warm conditions here. Lap 53 of 96. We've still got a long way to go. Stephen Richards was very competitively placed at the restart. Look at Neil Crompton. Another 00 Motorsport Falcon in trouble. The boys will check and see whether he's damaged anything. Probably in terms of the... There you go. Talking about the radiator being folded back on the engine. And if that's the case, they're going to park it. Crompton's already out of the car. Let's have another look at this from inside the Kmart machine.
They're dueling side by side into turn 3.
That's Crompton.
So Crompton's over to our right, straight up the rear of Richards, and off Stephen Richards goes. Darts off to the right. Look at the damage done to Neil Crompton's car. Race on our hands because all these guys, as David Bernard cuts through the inside, had to happen.
Rick Kelly goes
and
right
Cameron
off.
McLean follows him as well, but a little bit deeper from the VIP Pet Foods entry. All of these guys, as Woodsy mentioned, have completed both of their compulsory pit stops. The question now is tyre preservation. That's Simon Wills. The Emery Motorsport entry. Rodney Forbes gets tangled up on the outside of turn 4.
V8 Supercars official rent-a-car. Had a number of different drivers this year. Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay. Was there contact? Yes, indeed. Between the Haviland Commodore and the Young Lions Commodore and the Valvoline Cummins car in there too. Here's the VIP Pet Foods machine also in trouble. Let's have a look at this from the top. And you can see the Caltex Haviland Ford just hits the back of the Young Lions Commodore. Not sure whether the officials will be doing.
Mid-February, bit of a touch. Maybe sideways around turn 1, and Kelly and Radicic and Paul Wheel.
collected by the K&J car. You can see Todd Kelly went very, very deep under brakes. Locked his rears.
Saw that. So is everything okay? You're going to be able to restart?
And took Paul Radicic out in the process.
Well, I think that might make that minus 9.5 out of 10, minus 10 out of 10. And I just saw a little grass fire too there on the exit of turn 1, just where Radicic went off. Todd Kelly's car is a bit of a mess. Damage strewn all the way across the tarmac, and we've got a safety car condition.
Well, Radicic under assault there, and there was nothing you could do about that, Cameron McConville. I think I've seen you in a situation like that at the Queensland 500. A car locked up and out of control took you out of the race.
Yeah, that's right. Look, Toddler was probably trying. I mean, it's when you're in the car, it's always a different scenario. I won't be too hard on him, but it was a little bit deep under brakes. It was definitely had a big lunge, and he was slightly sideways when he got up to the B pillar. So perhaps he should have got out of it, you know. And really, it's put paid to his race with a long way to go.
Look at the flame trail that car 18 left behind as well as it shot across the grass.
He did collect the Castrol Commodore on the way through. Probably only superficial damage there. One of the Valvoline
looks like
Cummins
Garth
Commodores.
Tander, definitely. Unless Jason Bargwanna's on stilts, Tander is out of the car. 427, and he is furious.
David Bernard was flying after that restart. He had a 1 minute 12.06 on lap 62. So the Caltex Haviland car really belting in some quick laps. Bernard's 16th in the queue. But we've got yet another safety car period. Can you believe it? Paul Radicic, after such a great fight back, now finds himself stranded in the Sahara.
Gee, I tell you, you wouldn't want to be discussing driver contracts after this race. There's been some incidents, some driving incidents, but I think it's good for the race from a spectacle point of view. But gee, there's some incidents where you have to question really what some of the guys have been thinking out there today.
Well, it's a long race, isn't it? We're seeing some desperate moves under brakes. Just shows how competitive V8 supercar racing is now when you've got a 96-lap race and these guys are prepared to stick it all on the line. It is the final race of the year, so maybe we're seeing them throw more caution to the wind than normal.
That's our defending champion at Sandown out of the picture, and also another man out of the picture in the fight for second overall on the championship. Rusty's got some news from pit lane.
Yeah, Matty, down here with Stephen Richards. And
so they're going to stick it up on the truck. Let's have a look at this incident, Cam.
Yeah, very late sort of call. You can see Todd pulled out at the last minute. I don't think he was going to have a look, and then he decided, yeah, I'll pull out and have a look. But as soon as he did, he'd obviously started to lock the rear brakes, and as the fuel load lightens and the tyres go away, it's very difficult to lunge that deep under brakes.
There's another view high on our cherry picker. And look at Paul Wheel. He's a hapless victim in here. Bang. And he collects the Castrol Commodore on the inside. So he took a few victims with him there. Let's have a look at this from a final view, Nintendo replay. And watch this as he loops the Kmart car. K&J thermal car's got nowhere to go. Now, Keys Wheels were saying it's just cosmetic damage to the front of the car. Hopefully it's not worse than that, because they've had a great run tech car. And this is the Ingle incident. He had everything locked up on the inside, and he may have had a flat tyre even at that stage. Look at the car may have been sitting down on its front right corner. Well, there you are. So he's probably cut a tyre as he came up to the fastest part of the circuit. Look, the car just doesn't turn in at all. Look at this. So I'd say he's probably cut the tyre before he got there, and he's managed to keep it off the Armco barriers until he got it back to the pits.
It's a hairy ride, isn't it? And David Bernard gets a few puffs of smoke. I think Larry Perkins, yeah, that's Larry Perkins.
Well, looks like David's given another car a shove in the middle of the pack in his angst to fight his way back toward the front. He was running in 9.
Dus is 150. 150, jobb 2 tempo, 20-ra bal 2 tempo, 20-ra bal 2 tempo, 25-ra bal 2 szűk, bal 2 szűk, és bal 2, majd 50-re jobb 2, itt a bal 2, és 50